Ed, joining us now, Eric Trump, the second son of now presumptive GOP nominee Donald Trump, who is surging, by the way, surging in recent polling surveys. You heard it right here. I predicted this was going to happen the day after he wrapped this up. He is now tied nationally with Hillary Clinton in several polls, including the Rasmussen poll, the Reuters poll, and others. He is tied or ahead of Hillary Clinton in the three battleground states he needs to win to get elected president: Pennsylvania, where he is tied; Florida, where he's tied; Ohio, he's actually ahead of Clinton there. And all Trump has to do to be elected president, this is what I've been saying forever, it's basically Romney plus 3. Win all the Romney states. He's going to win those. And then win 3, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania. He's tied or ahead there. Plus, he's got New Hampshire in play. New Mexico is in play. Michigan is in play. Maine is in play. This is looking very exciting right now. And the big meeting tonight, or today, I guess, between Mr. Trump and Paul Ryan. Now, remember, Paul Ryan is elected in one congressional district. Paul Ryan, the speaker, got there through, I guess, process of elimination, ran for vice president in 2012. They lost, couldn't win his home state. So my advice to Mr. Trump when he goes to this meeting today, bring plenty of water for Ryan to drink. And basically, Mr. Trump has gotten millions and millions and millions and millions of Republican primary voters. Ryan did not. So the people are speaking and they're on his side. Hey, Eric, good to have you with us, man.
John, it's great to be back.
I tell you what, we are so fired up, and you're going to win this election.
Yeah. Well, you've called it from day one. You know, I'll never forget it, but you really called it from day one. You were on our team right at the very beginning when not many people were on our team, and it was kind of the family fighting everybody. And it's just it's amazing how far he's come in 10 months. I mean, he's just done an amazing job, and you know, it's kind of hard to believe that, you know, a business guy who had never been in politics is sitting in you know, the driver's seat for the Republican Party. I mean, it's just it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing and a true testament to him and some of our believers like you.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that, Eric. And I really was the first one in America to predict this was going to happen. And he has captured what I call a movement with his message. And people know that America is in trouble. And they think that his policies and what he is talking about is going to be the answer. But you guys have got to be excited about some of these recent survey numbers right out of the box. And, you know, Eric, the Never Trump people and other political action committees, they've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in attack ads against your father, basically with no impact. So now the Clintons are saying, well, we're going to spend, you know, $500 million attacking Trump. So what? I mean, they've already done that. I don't think people care. How about you?
Yeah, no, listen, I agree 100%. I mean, I was just walking to work not too long ago, and there's a guy on a bike who pulled up right next to me. He was, you know, a bike courier in New York, and he goes, you know, your dad has to win this thing. I mean, he just has to win this thing. And, I mean, I hear that every single day from every walks of life. I mean, the momentum that he's really created, and, you know, it's just really, it's incredible. I mean, I'll get in a car and somebody will tell me that. I'll be walking through the airport. I'll have 10 people come over. You know, we are behind your father 100%. I mean, he really spans the gamut, and it's you know, it's exciting. I mean, he's grown the party. He has more votes than any Republican nominee in history. And by the way, we're not even through all the states. I mean, we've got 10 states left to go. It's incredible. I mean, he has more votes today than Bush had when he won it, and Bush was number 2. And so, you know, I mean, what he's done is incredible. If you look at Pennsylvania, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a battleground state, and I think we're going to win Pennsylvania, and I lived in Pennsylvania for 5 years. But if you look at Pennsylvania, 180,000 independents and Democrats registered as Republicans just to vote for my father, and that's just people who voted in the primary, right? And, you know, that's obviously a small group of people. So if you look at a general election, how many people will cross over to vote for him, I think it's going to be staggering. I mean, even if you look at places like Long Island in New York and New York City, I mean, the amount of people who are Democrats who have really almost started a, you know, Democrats for Trump movement is incredible. And it's, you know, it's a testament to him, and it's a testament to, you know, a guy who has a little bit of personality and isn't a career politician and self-funds his own campaign and doesn't tiptoe around, you know, issues and isn't politically correct. I mean, it seems like he's a candidate that everybody's been looking for a long time.
I think so. Let's get to an exit poll in West Virginia that is stunning the Democrats, that basically found for Democrats voting in the West Virginian primary. Democrats voting, 30% of them in an exit poll said that if their choice came down to Trump-Clinton, 30% said they would vote for Trump. That's a staggering number, and it's just not West Virginia. I mean, that is something that there's no Republican out there that could even touch that. I mean, if they got 5%, it would be a big thing. You've got the potential to get 30% of Democratic voters in one state. That has got to bode well.
And I'm not. I mean, I haven't gone back and looked at the exact numbers in history, but I would argue that there's probably never been such a great victory as you had in West Virginia. I mean, the numbers that came out of there were staggering. And what Hillary said about coal, we're going to put the miners out of business. We are going to put the miners out of business. She's bragging about this. I mean, if you look at the jobs in this country since 2000, the jobs are, millions and millions of jobs a year. I mean, the chart is literally an arrow pointing straight down. We're losing our manufacturing. We're losing our jobs. Everything's going overseas. All the other countries around the world are benefiting from it. We're not producing anything anymore. We're not manufacturing anything anymore. And now she's going out talking about how she's going to put, the state's largest industry out of business because she wants to close down the mines. And you have to just shake your head and say, come on. I mean, is that really what we're doing to this country? And, what that does to our national spending, what that does to our national deficits, what that does to family structure, what that does to healthcare and everything else. I mean, it's the burden that puts on government to take care of these people. It's the ripple effect of something like that is astronomical, and I think that's why you're seeing the votes come out as they are. I mean, look at the communities that are reliant on those individuals and them making a good living. And she's talking about how she's going to put them out of business. I mean, it's really, really sad. And her foreign policy has been disastrous to this country. Her foreign policy has cost thousands of lives. And it's not surprising that the people are coming over in droves. And again, and not to get back to Pennsylvania for a second, but you're looking at entire parts of a state, specifically Pittsburgh, which are primarily Democratic, and they're flocking Republican because of this message that people simply cannot stand.
It's crazy. There's no question about it. And you look at the Commonwealth of Virginia, you look at our state right near West Virginia out there, Obama's EPA overreach, his war on coal has devastated the Southwest Virginia economy. I mean, just crippled it. And when you go down there, we have a big listenership in Southwest Virginia. It's probably the number one area of our show that has grown dramatically. I have a huge audience, and people are just hurting down there. When you go down there and you talk to people, I mean, they had $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 jobs, and now they don't have anything. They don't have any insurance or anything else, and it's all due to the fact that they've had this EPA war. And I think it's just not us. It's Pennsylvania, like you said, West Virginia, other areas, Ohio. I think this is all going to come into play as we get into the fall. Hey, Eric Trump, I want to get to the meeting today between your dad and Paul Ryan. I mean, there's a lot of us that really believe in what your father's message is and what he's doing. The very leadership of the Republican Party is the reason why many of us were so upset. We feel like we've been betrayed and sold out, and Ryan is right there. Is there any chance that your father is going to have to compromise some of his core beliefs in order to curry the favor of Paul Ryan?
No, I mean that's not my father, right? I mean, he's never exactly been a person who's beat around the bush. I mean, he's spoken from the heart. He's a man of tremendous conviction. He's a man that doesn't back down from his beliefs. As much pressure is put on him by the media and politicians and other people. And again, I think that's why people love him. I mean, when he brought up illegal immigration, when he brought up so many of the problems with extreme terrorism and Syrian refugees, and I mean, he got tremendous amount of heat for that, and he never backed down from it. And I think it's one of the things that makes my father so amazing, and one of the things that I admire most about a man that I love, incredibly. Now, will positions be refined? Yeah, sure. Listen, I mean, I think that's the way of the world. I think he's not a career politician. He's never walked the halls of Washington. Will ideas come up and will, guidance be given that's really smart and good and proper guidance? 100%. And will he be the first one to listen to that? Absolutely. But is he going to change core convictions because, some bureaucrat in Washington, tells him to? No. I mean, it's not the man he is. I mean, that's not why he's running. That's not why he's self-funding. It's just, again, it's not the man he is.
Eric, at what point in time, with those that are still part of the Never Trump movement and those that say they're not going to vote for him or they're looking for a third-party alternative of whatever they're doing, I know you're trying very, very hard to unify everybody, but at what point in time do you just say, you know what, I really appreciate what you guys are trying to do, but at the end of the day, we have to move on and we have to go get other voters and just say, you're just going to move on from them?
Well, listen, I think there's a certain point where maybe that comes, and but also I think there's a kind of get to know you process, and in the history of politics, there's never really been the situation where a man who has been an incredibly successful businessman has come out of the woodwork. He runs for commander in chief. After 10 months, he wins the primary. Months and months and months ahead of when the Democrats are going to win it. I mean, for the first time ever, the Republicans actually have a jump on the Democrats, which hurts me because it seems like sometimes based on little things like this, they start throwing that away, and it's a little bit frustrating to me. I mean, he's a winner. He knows how to win. We have such a great head start. She's still battling for her life between the email scandals and possibly becoming indicted and obviously losing a lot of states to Senator Sanders. So we finally have a jump on this, and then this kind of stuff happens. So, I think as a non-politician, for me, it's a little bit frustrating. It's a little counterintuitive. Mm-hmm. At the same time, my father's got to walk the halls with these people, and he's got to get to know them. And I'm sure when he gets to know Ryan, my father is an incredible guy. He's a charismatic guy. People love him. He energizes people, and I think when they sit down and they look each other in the eyes, I think he'll realize that there's a lot of great that can be done. And my father started something that's very special, and my father is a great winner, and he believes deeply in his thoughts, and I think that will start to unify. But John, he's never walked the same hallways as these people. He's not an insider. People have never had lunch with him. They've never had, right? He's an outsider to this process, and so a guy like Ryan has to get to know him a little bit. And there's plenty of other people in Washington that need to get to know him a little bit. And I think when they do, those people will come around. At the same time, I think people need to bite their tongue a little bit because we have such an advantage over Hillary right now, and I hope we don't give that away based on foolishness in D.C.
Makes a lot of sense. Eric, just found out the other day that Jeff Bezos, from Amazon, who owns the Washington Post, has put 20 reporters, get this, 20 full-time reporters he has put on digging up anything they can find on your father. Now, this is unprecedented. I've been in the news business a long time. As a reporter or an editor, I worked an average of about 70 hours a week. That's probably about the average. So you take 70 times 20 people is 1,400 hours a week, times 20 people. It's a huge amount of work. What are they trying to find here, and is there going to be any risk to this?
Listen, I have no idea. I mean, I think you start teetering on not being, having integrity when you start doing that. I mean, it seems like somebody's on a warpath, and
right.
And listen, that's fine. I mean, people have done that their entire lives to us, and it is what it is. We're big boys and girls, and we have nothing to hide, and we can take it. And but it's frustrating, right? I mean, you run for commander in chief, meaning if you're sincere about it, right? There's many people who run for commander in chief because they need a job. There's other people who run for commander in chief because if they win, great. If they lose, they'll make a couple more bucks giving speeches around the country and around the world. If they win, they have a nice setup for 4 or 8 years, and then they make a lot of money giving speeches around the world, right? I mean, my father's going into this not because he needs the money, not because he needs a nice place to live, not because he wants to move down to Washington, D.C. I mean, he's doing this because the country has $19 trillion worth of debt and going up to 21 very quickly. We are fighting wars that we're not winning. It's not because we can't win them. It's because our leadership chooses not to win them for whatever reason. I mean, we stay in a country for 15 years. We spend trillions of dollars. We lose thousands of people, and we get absolutely nothing out of it. I mean, it's amazing. We have a VA system which is totally corrupt and totally broken, where contractors and this and that are lining their pockets with millions and millions of dollars, whereas the people who are getting shot at on the battlefields overseas are, 22 of them are committing suicide every single day. Mm-hmm. We have an educational system that's 30th in the world. I mean, ranked 30th in the world. We're America. We should be number one in the world, but we're ranked 30th in the world in terms of education.
Right.
The most precious part of our society isn't getting educated, which is our youth. and so much more. I mean, you see the Iran deal, which has to be the dumbest deal of all time. I mean, we give $150 billion to a company who hates to a country that hates our guts.
Right.
I mean, you're sitting there just shaking your head, and I've seen this in my father's eyes for so long. The frustration. I mean, here's a man who's done immensely well in life. He could not ask for anything more. We have an amazing company. We're growing all over the United States, all over the world, with the best assets, with the best this. He puts that all aside to run for commander-in-chief and self-fund it himself, and so he's not reliant on anybody. And he's doing that because he wants to fix the problem. He's doing that for a very sincere reason. He's not doing that because he needs the job, and I think that's what I commend him for most. He's really sick of the nonsense in Washington and the deals that are made, and the lack of common sense and the overspending. It really infuriates him, and that's why he's doing this. I mean, it's really why he's doing it.
Well, look, there's no doubt, I had him on my show way back in April when we were talking about running for president, where I predicted that he would. And one of the questions I asked your father, and I say this on the radio all the time, I said, Mr. Trump, you got a great life, great family, great children. You got a 9-year-old at home, 8 at the time, and you own this great business. You love to play golf. You own the best golf courses in the galaxy. You're going to be 70. Why would you do this? And I'll never forget his answer. It is what convinced me that he was going to run and win when he said to me, John, what good is all that if you don't have a country? And I said to myself right there, this guy is going to run and he's going to win. And that's kind of what started the whole thing. And, that's been the mantra. That's why we're on the same page with this. I want to ask you final question, Eric. It appears that one of the candidates that might be running for vice president with your father is our old, very good friend and my Newt Gingrich. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I'm for Newt, so I'm very excited about this. How do you think the family is going to react if Newt were to be the vice presidential candidate? How does he kind of play in the family?
Yeah, well, I mean, let me start by saying a decision hasn't even been close to being made. My father has, a bunch of people that he's vetting, and that's ultimately my father's choice.
Right.
And so I'm not one to opine on that. What I will say is, Newt is a great guy. I mean, he's smart. He's great. He's been amazing. He's got tremendous conviction. He's just an amazing person and an amazing guy, and he's just been phenomenal. He's been phenomenal to our family. He's a phenomenal person. He's got a great heart. He's just he's a great person, and I think the world of Newt, and I know you do as well. And I think the world of a lot of people. I mean, Huckabee's been an amazing guy as well, and I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them who have gone into politics for the right reasons. They have tremendous heart and soul and conviction. They're not doing it for the wrong reasons. There's a tremendous amount, but believe me, that list is long. And my father has unconventional people on that list. He has conventional people on that list. There have been a lot of names that have been proposed, and what my father will do is he'll find a great person. I mean, my father has a great instinct for finding amazing people who, first of all, work immensely hard. Second of all, are incredibly practical. Third, can cut through red tape and cut through nonsense. And believe me, there's enough nonsense in government. You see Washington, D.C. as a place that, it's, Tuesday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. I mean, my father will work harder than anybody. And believe me, whoever that VP pick is will work tirelessly. They will not stop. They will work around the clock. There will be no more, 3-day work weeks in Washington, D.C. I mean, it's a man he is in business. It's a man that he would be as commander-in-chief. And believe me, whoever that VP nominee would be a person, that did the same. That would be a doer. That would be a worker. That would put aside the nonsense and actually get things done. And believe me, when he picks that person is going to have all those characteristics.
Well, Eric, I tell you what, your father picked a great campaign manager way back last April when he picked Corey Lewandowski, who has done a super job. And so that's just an indication of the type of people your father surrounds himself with, right?
Yeah, no question about it. Workers. I mean, my father's always been a believer, and hey, you can have the person with the best pedigree in the world, but if they're not willing to work, and if they're not willing to get dirty, and they're just going to delegate every little task, what good does that ultimately do? I mean, my father will get people who will work tirelessly and just do a great job, and he wants to fix the problems of this country. I mean, again, he's not doing this because he needs a job. He wants to fix the problems of this country, and God knows there's a lot of them, and he will do a great job. He's an unbelievable man. He's been an amazing father to me. He will truly, truly do a great job, and he will make us all very proud.
All right, Eric Trump, we're out of time. We want to thank Eric for being with us today. Eric, it's always an honor to have you on our show. I know your father's going to win. I have no doubt in my mind. More information, go to donaldjtrump.com, donaldjtrump.com. Eric, thanks for your endorsement of us, and thanks for being on with us today. We will certainly
Thanks so much, John. We'll see you soon.